Transmitted to our men and women overseas by short wave and through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And you know something? I had an adventure tonight I wish you could have shared with me. I had a steak about, an inch and a half thick, tender and juicy, and with it I had a glass of Petri California Burgundy. Now there's a combination. Steak and Petri Burgundy. That Petri Burgundy is a perfect mealtime wine. It's a rich red wine that's hearty and full of flavor that comes right from the heart of the grape. And don't think that Petri Burgundy is only good with steak. It'll make a hamburger sandwich taste like a feast, too. Try Petri Burgundy with any meat or meat dish. It's just wonderful. And serve it proudly, too, because after all, the name Petri is the proudest name in the history of American wines. And now I know Dr. Watson's waiting for us, so let's go in and join him.
Come in.
Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bartell. You're quite muffled up tonight, I see. Overcoat, scarf, and gloves. Slip 'em off and come and join me by the fire.
Thanks, Doctor. Quite a nip in the air tonight.
Yes, there is indeed.
Well, Doctor, you told us last week that tonight's story centered around the activities of a brilliant and beautiful woman.
Yes, my boy. Her name was Irene Adler, but I never knew Holmes to refer to her by any other name than the woman.
She sounds mighty intriguing. How did you happen to meet up with her?
Well, I'll tell you the story from the beginning. One night, it was on the 20th of March, 1888, to be exact, I was returning home from a visit to a patient when my steps led me through Baker Street. Since my marriage, I hadn't seen much of Sherlock Holmes.
And you couldn't resist stopping by 221B, I'm sure, Doctor.
Of course I couldn't. As I stood outside the well-remembered door, I looked up at the lighted windows and saw the tall, spare figure of my old friend pass twice in dark silhouette against the blind. He was pacing the room swiftly, eagerly, with his head sunk on his chest and his hands clasped behind him. To me, who knew his every mood and habit, his attitude and manner told their own story. He was hot on the scent of some new problem. I rang the bell, and a few moments later, found myself standing before him.
Marriage suits you, Watson. You look in splendid shape.
Yes, and I'm feeling very well, eh?
And in practice again, I see. You didn't tell me that you'd gone back into harness.
Oh, how do you know?
Elementary, my dear chap. If a gentleman walks into my rooms smelling of iodoform with a black mark of nitrate of silver on his right forefinger and a bulge on the left side of his hat to show where he has secreted his stethoscope, I should be dull indeed if I didn't pronounce him to be an active member of the medical profession.
Same as ever, Holmes. By the way, I'm not interrupting you, am I?
Yes, you are, old fellow, but it's a most welcome interruption.
You're working on a new case?
It looks like it. This letter arrived by the last post today. It's undated and has neither signature nor address. Read it.
Look. There will call upon you tonight at 7:45 a gentleman who desires to consult you upon a matter of the very deepest moment. Your recent services to one of the royal houses of Europe have shown that you are one who may safely be trusted. This account of you we have from all quarters received. Be in your chamber, then, at that hour, and do not take it amiss if your visitor wears a mask. Great Scott, it all sounds very mysterious. What do you imagine it means?
Look carefully at the note, Watson. What do you deduce from it?
Well, let's see. Well, the man who wrote it was presumably well-to-do. Such paper couldn't be bought for under half a crown a packet. And it's peculiarly strong and stiff.
Peculiar. That's the very word. It's not an English paper at all. Hold it up to the light. You notice anything?
Yes. There's a large E with a small G, and a large G with a small T, woven into the texture of the paper.
What does that suggest to you?
The name of the maker, no doubt, or perhaps his monogram.
Not at all, my dear fellow. The G with a small t stands for Gesellschaft, which is the German for company.
And the EG?
That stands for Igria. It's a German-speaking country in Bohemia, not far from Carlsbad.
So the paper was made in Bohemia?
Undoubtedly. The man who wrote the note is a German.
Well, how do you know that?
Observe the curious construction of the sentence. This account of you we have from all quarters received. A Frenchman or a Russian could not have written that. It's the German who is so discourteous to his verbs.
Oh, there's your client now. I'd better go home.
No, unless you have to.
Well, I could stay. I thought perhaps...
Oh, then, my dear chap, stay by all means. I'm lost without my Boswell, and this promises to be interesting. I told Mrs. Hudson to let the masked visitor come upstairs unannounced. Come in. Good evening, sir.
You received my note?
Yes, indeed. Come in, won't you? Sit down. This is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. You may say anything before him that you can say to me. Whom have I the honor to address?
You may address me as Count von Kram.
How do you do, sir?
You must excuse this mask that I wear. The august person who employs me wishes his agent to be unknown to you. And I may confess at once that the title by which I have just called myself is not exactly my own.
I was well aware of that fact, sir.
You see, Mr. Holmes, the matter I'm about to discuss implicates the great house of Ormstein, hereditary kings of Bohemia.
That had not escaped me either, sir. In fact, if you will state your case, I shall be better able to advise you. Your Majesty.
How did you... Yes. Yes, I am the king. Why should I attempt to conceal it?
Why, indeed.
I shall remove the mask. There. Mr. Holmes, I have traveled incognito from Prague for the express purpose of consulting you.
Then pray consult.
Briefly, the facts are these. Some 5 years ago, during a visit to Warsaw, I meet the acquaintance of the well-known adventuress, Irene Adler.
Irene Adler? We know of her, Your Majesty.
Now look her up in the index for me, will you, Watson? It's right beside you on the desk there.
I imagine that the name would not be unfamiliar to you.
Here we are. Abrahams, Acton Green, Hatchet Murders. Adler.
Splendid. Hand me the file, old chap. Thank you. Irene Adler. Born in New Jersey in the United States of America in 1858. Contralto. Prima donna Imperial Opera of Warsaw. Oh. Retired from the operatic stage. Living in London. Quite so. And here's a recent notation. Your Majesty, as I understand, became entangled with this young person. Wrote her some compromising letters and is now desirous of getting those letters back.
Precisely so, but how...
Was there a secret marriage?
None.
No legal papers or certificates?
No.
Then I fail to follow, Your Majesty. If this young lady should produce her letters for blackmailing purposes, how is she to prove their authenticity?
There's the handwriting.
That could be a forgery, Your Majesty.
But it was private notepaper.
Stolen.
My own seal.
Imitated.
My photograph.
Bought.
What? We were both in the photograph.
Oh, dear me. Yes, that's very bad. Your Majesty has indeed committed an indiscretion.
Did you inscribe this photograph, Your Majesty?
Yes, Dr. Watson, I am afraid I did.
Good gracious me.
Mr. Holmes, it must be recovered.
Perhaps if you were to pay enough, the photograph might be bought.
She refuses to sell.
Stolen, then.
5 attempts have been made. Twice, burglars in my pay ransacked her house. Once, we diverted her luggage when she traveled. Twice, she has been waylaid. There has been no result.
Oh, yes, quite a pretty little problem.
It is a deadly serious one to me.
Your Majesty, what does Miss Adler intend to do with the photograph?
To ruin me.
Now, how, sir?
Well, I am about to be married to the second daughter of the King of Scandinavia. She is the soul of delicacy. A shadow of a doubt as to my conduct would bring the matter to an end.
And Irene Adler threatens to send the photograph to your fiancée, I suppose.
Yes, and she will do it. Rather than let me marry another woman, there are no lengths to which she would not go. None.
Are you sure that she hasn't already sent it, Your Majesty?
I am sure.
And why?
She said she would send it on the day my betrothal is publicly announced. That day will be next Monday.
Splendid. Then we still have 3 days. Your Majesty will, of course, stay in London for the present?
Yes, certainly. You will find me at the Langham Hotel, registered as Count von Kram.
Just 2 questions before you leave.
What are they?
Is the photograph large or small?
Quite large. And it was in a heavy frame.
I see. And what is Irene Adler's London address, please?
Briony Lodge, Serpentine Avenue, St. John's Wood.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Good night, and I trust that we shall soon have some good news for you.
I am placing all my hopes in you, Mr. Holmes. Good night. Good night, Dr. Watson.
Good night, Your Majesty. Fascinating problem, Holmes. I wish I could help you with it.
You can, my dear chap. I shall be glad of your company.
That's our first move, Holmes.
A good night's rest. We'll meet here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And then?
Then, my dear fellow, we will see what we can find out about Miss Irene Adler, late of the Warsaw Imperial Opera Company, and at present residing at Briony Lodge, Serpentine Avenue, St. John's Wood.
Well, Holmes, a cursory examination of Brownlee Lodge didn't prove very illuminating.
No, a bijou residence that represents the essence of dignified suburbia, but tells us very little about the owner. I think a visit to the local public house might prove more instructive. Come on, old chap. I see the door of the Coach and Horses inviting us from across the road.
Well, our disguises shouldn't cause any No?
I suggested them. In the character of a couple of tables, I felt that we might inspire confidence. This is a horsey neighborhood. There's a wonderful sympathy and freemasonry among that fraternity. There we are. Better let me do most of the talking.
Yes, I will. I'm sure that your accent will be more convincing than
Let's
mine.
go in, shall we?
What'll it be, mateys?
All for Baltimore, please. How about you, Charlie?
All of the same.
2 off of Old and Mild. Here we are, mateys. That'll be a tenner.
Have a drink with us, Governor?
Well, don't mind if I do. I'll have a Guinness. You blokes new around here?
Oh, yes. We just come over from Clapham.
Clapham, eh? Well, here's looking at you. Are you hunting for jobs?
Yes, that's right. Well, we was told that Miss Adler, across at Briony Lodge, needed a new coachman and groom.
Well, it's the first I've heard of it, but it might be true. Have you been over there to ask?
No, not yet. We thought we'd find out something about the old girl first.
She ain't no old girl, matey. She's the prettiest young thing you ever saw under a bonnet, and that's a fact.
You know her, Governor?
Yeah, of course I know her. Used to drive her carriage, I did, before I come to work here.
Oh, what's she like?
Well, nice little lady as you'll find, chum.
Work yard?
No. She lives quiet like. Goes out singing at concerts once in a while. Rest of the time, it's money for jam. She goes out for a drive in the park every day at 5 and comes back to dinner at 6:30. Rest of the time's your own.
Oh, shan't manage, you say?
No. But she's got a bloke what comes to see her all the time. He's a barrister. Nice gentleman. Mr. Geoffrey Norton is his name. Good-looking fella. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get spliced.
Sounds like a nice cushy job to me. Come on, Charlie. Let's get over to the house and see what's what. Much obliged to you, chum.
Well, good luck, matey.
Good night.
And thanks for the Guinness.
What's our next move, Holmes?
Let's stroll back to Briony Lodge, shall we? I'm undecided whether to continue my investigations there or to try and find out something about Mr. Geoffrey Norton, the barrister. If he's just her lawyer and nothing else, it's more than likely that she's entrusted the photograph to his safekeeping.
Hello. There's a cab waiting outside Miss Adler's house.
Hurry, Watson. Maybe Mr. Norton's.
Here we are at the gate.
Yes. And here comes a man hurrying down the pathway. Quick. Hide this post. Listen.
Where to now, Mr. Norton? Try like the devil. First to Gross and Hankey's in Regent Street, and then to the Church of St. Monica in the Edgware Road. Half a sovereign if you do it in 20 minutes. Right you are, Mr. Norton. Off in.
Try and signal the cab, Watson. We must follow him.
Here comes one. No, it isn't. It's a private carriage.
Miss Adler's, no doubt. Oh, here she comes down the pathway. Back again behind the post, Watson.
Where to, Miss Adler?
The Church of St. Monica, John, and half a sovereign if you reach it in 20 minutes.
King's foot! Quick! We must get a cab and follow them.
Here comes a hansom. Cabby! Hi, cabby!